Lurker. Oh, I'm early today. Hey, Ryan, John. Every day that goes by, it seems like I get the same amount of congestion. Morgan, I don't know what these are. I don't know what these are. These are Bass Labs. Bass Labs. Not of interest to you or me. Campers. No, you know what, Brendan? Funny you should say that. I did sand with my little dust mask on yesterday to try and cut down some of the airborne stuff. I probably need to wear a damn real respirator. But because every time I start sanding, I get a little, I get with all the lights, I can see like the particles floating up in the air, and I say, oh, I should probably wear something so I don't get epoxy boogers all in my mouth and throat. Hello, Burnsy, Nasty Nate. No, the kids have it. They have a little. They have a little something congestion too. I don't know if it's like allergies or what. Anthony, what do you think? It would probably be great for bass. I don't know if MLF, if it would. I mean, which would you rather have? Say, Chris, what's up? Which would you rather have? A new up and coming middle of the pack angler that has his whole future ahead of him? Or would you rather have an established middle of the pack angler who has name recognition that's pretty much going to learn nothing and go nowhere? Like, you know what they are, you know what they do. They're just trying to ride out the rest of their career. Or say you're MLF and you have a bunch of the old cloth, bunch of old dogs, not trying to learn any new tricks, versus you have new blood on BASS. So maybe, I don't know, would it be worth it to either organization to set up a league trade to where you could, my example was, would you trade Jacob Fouts for Kelly Jordan? I probably would. I don't know if he's young, he's still motivated. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. But it might be, I don't know. I don't know. He's just an example because he's one of the like newer young guys that I know, just because he's been in the media lately. Jordan? I feel like Jordan's always relevant. He's won all kinds of shit at MLF. I feel like he has won enough that I would say he's certainly relevant. And you have to also add relevancy in when you go shopping at a sporting goods store. Oh, Kelly Jordan. Yeah, Kelly Jordan is not. I thought you meant Jordan Lee. I was like, what? Yeah, Kelly Jordan. I saw him do one. I think he did okay in like one event, but for the most part, he hasn't done anything. But to me, he adds value. Like I like Kelly Jordan. Uh, I'd like to see him back at Bass just for I don't who knows why. I don't know. Does anyone know how Jordan Lee? Yeah, it was Larry Nixon. Larry Nixon decided last minute that he was supposedly that he was Dunzo. Jordan. I don't know how. I don't know how Jordan got picked. Like, if is he top of the Legends exemption list, or was he just the first one they offered it to that they wanted? Um, because me and Morgan were talking. Uh, KJ, why don't you follow? There you go. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, Larry Nixon retired. Jordan moved in, but I would like to know how they picked Jordan, or if it was just like a big list, if there was an actual list, and he was number one, or if he was number one because they said, "Listen, we got to get Jordan back." Like Tox won a classic. I'm sure there's other people that have won like multiple classics over there. Maybe who is there anybody? Is there anybody on MLF that's active that has won two classics? Morgan. We talked about Mark Davis. Uh, I feel like everybody that's won two classics is like retired. Um, yeah, he's Jordan was definitely, I think, strategically uh, up at the top. Um, I literally looked at the spot KJ won on like 2 weeks before and thought it looked like trash. All right, Morgan, was this Eufaula, Alabama, or Eufaula, Oklahoma? What I don't I didn't watch that tournament. What was he fishing? Apparently, it's Angler of the Year and Classic bursts or Classic wins pay into the play into the equation. Um, so that would qualify Talk through a Classic win. He's probably real far down the list. I don't know that Bass was like salivating over getting Talk back. Although, if I were on the board at Bass, I would. And they were sitting around having a board meeting. They're like, "Everybody good with Jordan?" Like, I vote Takahiro Omori. Like, what? Yeah. Like, dude, he's posted on Instagram like twice. You knew it. Remember that? Golly, another one. Greatest moment in classic history, arguably. This like sucks is pretty funny. Pretty damn funny. If I was Bass, I'd steer away all the guys that did sketchy shit during the MLF season. Yeah, that's probably which I don't know of anybody who did any sketchy shit that would be like legend exempt. What classic moment is better than Takahiro at the buzzer? Hmm. Ike's 3-pounder in Louisiana, not even close with the yelling and screaming. Um, let's see, is there anything? Classic moments. I mean, that was at the buzzer, dude. You can't write that shit. Pittsburgh Classic was good. It was very exciting, but I feel like it was exciting as a whole because everybody had a chance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was a bunch of different guys. Like, the Talk Classic was all Talk. You know what I mean? Like, he made it. I feel like the Pittsburgh Classic was awesome because it was a culmination of a lot of different anglers like doing stuff. Uh, I knew it. Golly, another one. I wish somebody would force Talk to do more like social media stuff, not just post obligatory sponsor stuff. It is cold. It's been raining for 3 days consecutively, and it hasn't. It's like lows have been like 50 and highs been like 60. So there's really no variation of temperature. You wake up and it's raining and 55 degrees. So, what was the last summer classic before they went to wintertime? I don't know. Let's look in the book. See when the last classic I have is in here. Lake Hartwell in February 2008. February. February, Lay Lake 2007. 2006. It had to have been around. There's Lake Toho in 2006. That had to have been around 2005, maybe. Lake Toho. Yeah, Three Rivers was the last hot classic, and it was in July 29th through the 31st. Three Rivers. So 2005 was the last summer classic, and then like Toho, the one that Luke Clausen won, and then didn't get to defend his classic win. I think he is the. I think he's the first. Wasn't he the first angler to not try to fish the next year? Ken Duke just got a chub. Ken say, what's in those books? Illegally ripped DVDs of the Bassmasters, Ken. Don't worry about it. Ray Roberts with Summer. Was that? When was there a classic at Ray Roberts? How was the original Elite Series selected? I'm guessing it's similar to the Legends thing. Like I'm sure Angler of the Year played into it, and then there was probably some Bassmaster Classic, that kind of stuff. Probably added to your Angler of the Year points when they chose that. Uh, 2021 Bassmaster Classic at Ray Roberts. Did I completely miss that? No way. 05 was great, dude. That's one of my favorite tournaments was when they did the Bush Shootout on the James River. That was a great tournament. June 21st is the start of summer. Not in Texas, not in Alabama. They might consider it that, but you'll get your ass roasted. I would consider summer. I guess I would consider summer to me is June 1st. Down here, that's when I consider like late May, early June. So I would say it's about 3 weeks early to the rest of the world, but I would say June 1st. That kind of starts summer to me. Hell, I feel like Tyler, we have that in like April. Definitely have it in May. Um, the classic should be at a prime time, and the regular tournament should be through November or at least October. None of this baby shit fishing all the time. Yeah, I wish. I don't like the classic starting the year. Like, I understand why they do it, but they make it like it's the kickoff of the spring, you know what I mean, of the new year, and then you roll into the season. But I feel like everybody loses their buzz and like their momentum and everything that's like built up to qualifying for the classic when it's in August. Like everybody's coming off of the fishing season, they're tired, they're worn down, they're beat up, and then they've got to go out for 3 days and win the Bassmaster Classic and be miserable. I like the torture of it. Um, I like them. I'm with Clay. I do like watching February because February you get some wild conditions, and February isn't typically a super easy time to catch fish. Um, a lot of things changing. February makes for a good classic, um, but I wish they would just fish. It would feel better if they fished all the way up to that time. Like, give them a tournament in January, dude. Make them go somewhere and like the old days where you see dudes. They didn't have like that was the best thing about it is that's what made it so relatable is that you had all these guys going out there, professional fishermen, and they had to fish a tournament in January or December or whatever it was, and they didn't have like sim sponsors, and they didn't like companies like that weren't really into fishing. So when the guy had to put on cold weather gear, he would just go raid his closet and pull out like all of his hunting jackets and his hunting coveralls, his you know, if he went skiing and he had a ski suit, he put his ski suit on and like put a propane burner in the bottom of the boat and just like get out there and try and catch one. And then when you watch that tournament, you were like, man, these are guys like me. I don't have fancy cold weather stuff to fish in this shit. I just go get like as many jackets as I have and put them on. Um, the classics in August on the Coosa and the James River will always be the best. Yeah, the one Robert Hamilton won, that was a on Logan. That was an awesome tournament. Um, I would toast sausage sticks. Not a bad move. But I would like to see them. Uh, I would like to see them have to fish the fall. I mean, have I experienced ice forming on my reel? Yes, I have. Um, at Lake Mitchell specifically in December, the low was like 28 that morning. We got out there. We were the first one to the ramp for some reason, and we put the boat in. And I remember hitting the brakes in my boat in my truck sliding down the ramp. And I was like, "Phew." And I think there had been one boat ahead of me, and when he pulled out, the slab froze over. And then when I came in and backed up, I slid a little bit, and then I pulled the trailer out and I made it. But everybody after me was like slipping and sliding all over the place, and they had to salt the ramp. And I remember uh, my first cast. I threw a wiggle wart out there, not a wiggle wart, a Rebel Deep Wear on this point, and I was reeling it back in, and I went to cast, and I had all my guys are frozen through. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. Uh, but it's happened here and there a few times. Not something I have to deal with a lot, but you know, 5 or 6 times in my life. Um, I've heard real magic works okay for it. I would just stick my rod in the water every time. No, it wasn't a wiggle wart. It was a Rebel Wear, a deep Wear. And I'll have you know, within 5 casts, I caught a 3 pound spot on that ugly ass stupid Wear. And I'll also have you know that day was miserable, and we ended up catching like I don't know, not much. I think we had like 12 pounds. Um, but this guy came in and he had a giant bag of spots. I'm assuming this was when I was young and dumb and had no clue how the world worked. But he everybody but me, I feel like, knew that like on these Coosa lakes, you went and got up below the dam and you drifted in the current and you fished all these little breaks and you did below the dam stuff and you caught these big ass spots. Temperature didn't matter. Water temperature doesn't matter. Like it can be, the boat ramp can be frozen solid and there can be like a sheet of ice off the bank and you can go up there and like catch those fish in like 12-degree water. So I guess I'm assuming he went up there because he had a monster bag of spots, and he uh, he was getting off his boat onto the dock, and when he put his foot up there, he slipped, and he got up on the dock, and then I think he slipped. He lost his footing, and his bag of fish hit the deck, and they water fell out, and I watched like 4 pound spot after 4 pound spot slide into the water. And I think by the time he was able to grab them, he saved two of them, and they weren't the biggest ones. And I was sitting there just like in disbelief. And here's what that did. As soon as I got home, I got on Tackle Warehouse and I ordered a zipper bag. That was the day. That was probably in like 2007, something like that. Yeah, it was probably 2007, 6 or 7. But I saw that and I was terrified. I was like, dude, that is not happening to me. So Clay, there has been decades and decades of misinformation, fake news in Bassmaster magazine uh, about cold water bass fishing. I think it's one of the most misconstrued, every like. There's a lot of bad info out there. I wouldn't say bad, but it's not all 30 feet deep and jigging spoons. Um, and I've talked about that a lot. That that growing up, trying to like learn bass fishing and like how to fish like bodies of water you've never been to. And the biggest thing I took away was like the biggest time I struggled not was when it was warm, it was when it was cold. And the hardest thing about fishing when it's cold is that you don't know how slow is slow enough, and you also can't fish that slow and cover water enough to figure out the bite. So you're kind of, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, do I slow way down? But by slowing down that much, you're also potentially throwing at nothing. So you got to kind of find that. But if you're not getting bites, it's really hard to judge. That's like, to me, that's like one of the toughest things in bass fishing is like, how slow is slow enough to still generate bites, like to know you're around fish. Um, but but I've also, what I learned, what like I said, when I was reading Bassmaster said, you get on like hard points and you crank for pre-spawn fish when the water is below this, and uh, they're setting up. I tried all that shit, and guess what? I didn't catch much. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have this great epiphany where I was like, oh yeah, this is just like in the magazine. No, I didn't catch shit. Like, it sucked. So finally, after enough winters of that, like in February, I said, listen, I'm not gonna go do this Bassmaster magazine shit. Screw Bassmaster. I'm just gonna go fish shallow, swim a jig, throw a spinnerbait, pitch, whatever. Uh, just fish like I normally would. Guess what? Lo and behold, the fish that I thought should be setting up in mid depth areas on the hard stuff, eating a DT6, they were in this much water, aggressive, willing to bite. It's like, hmm, hmm, I never read this in Bassmaster. So learning that's what made like when they had the classics on the Louisiana Delta or the Red River or whatever, when they had those classics in February, it was pretty much like fishing here. And I saw that and I was like, this is awesome. This is like I wish I would have seen these tournaments 10 years ago. Um, so that would have helped kind of the learning curve. How is dead sticking a Demiki rig and ripping a trap two best things you can do when it's cold out? Demiki rig and ripping a trap. I don't know. You don't hear much about that either. Uh, awesome choice of your shirt today. Very fashionable. Is it intentional that you match the material covering the chair? Yes, that's very. This is my. It's Texas. It's Texas week. Huddlebug in the winter? I think Huddlebug works anytime, but probably. Uh, Probably, but I think the way it's supposed to be fished would probably lend itself to wintertime fishing where you're basically stitching your line back to you. Did anybody ever do that? Where you read it in you wouldn't read about it typically in Bassmasters. You'd read about it in like Field and Stream or like Outdoor Life or one of those like bullshit magazines where they talk about stitching crawfish, where you don't use the reel handle, you just take your line and you like twist it, or you do something with your fingers and like pull the line in. That's how slow you fish it. Uh, I need to talk to Dennis about this. Hold on. It's cool bait. Um, so another thing. So one thing I would do, like in the wintertime, I'd be up at the lake house, and we had this ditch that was like a drainage ditch that it connected to the lake kind of. So where our house was a giant like foot and a half mud flat, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards from the river. But there's like one little spot that gets like 5, 6, 7, 8 feet deep in between these two little islands, and that's like the deepest water anywhere. And and we had this little ditch, and I don't remember what I got, but it's Stanley made it. It was a new bait from Stanley. It was right when the ugly otter came out because I remember I got the ugly otter from Gambler, and I got this Stanley bait called an It's It, something like that. And I tied it on, and it was pretty much like a craw tube looking thing, but it was pretty small. Um, well, I just wanted to see what it looked like, and it was like a plum apple color. And I took it into the ditch. I walked outside, and it was cold as shit, dude. It was like January, and I went into that ditch to look at this bait, and I pitched it out there, and I was kind of looking at it, and I reeled the bait in, and I was picking it up, and right when I was picking it up, a 3 pounder just goes. I'm like grabbed it, and I was like, it's January. Water's like 48 degrees. You're like a mile from the river, and you're surrounded by a foot and a half of water. What are you doing in here? You're supposed to be you're supposed to be out there. And I'm supposed to catch you on a jigging spoon and a drop shot and a Carolina rig and maybe a lipless. So there was a couple times like that really where I didn't want to go anywhere. That's where a lot of it happened. Where I wouldn't want to run my boat anywhere, so I would just like start fishing around the house, and it's all a foot and a half, and you kind of start seeing the pieces of the puzzle where it's January and you're not fishing like you read about in Bassmaster, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm catching fish in here. You're not supposed to be here, but you are. Um, and then, like a couple winters ago, I was fishing this. It was behind an island off the river. It's like directly, like you've got the river, a little strip of island, and then there's a little piece of water on the other side. So it doesn't get direct river current, but it gets pretty damn close. Um, but I was in there, and the water was, and it's pretty shallow. It's like a mid depth. It's like got some 6 feet water out in the middle, but the banks come up and shallow off. And I was fishing the shallow stuff, but I want to say the water was 48. This is the coldest I've ever seen it. Uh, this happen. So there was a little bit of standing timber off to my left, and I was fishing the bank over here. 48 degrees. I think it was February. This is another time where the light bulb went off that things aren't as they seem. So I'm going through there, fishing my, you know, spinner bait or whatever I'm throwing, and I hear slurping and thrashing. I look over beside me, and in the timber is schooling fish, and they're not small, like real stud muffins. So I'm like, holy shit. So I have a chatterbait ton on. I take a black and blue chatterbait and go flip it over there in the schoolers. And it wasn't many, but it was like 5 or 6, but they were big. And hooked into the fish, got him in. It's between a 4 and 5 pound spot, schooling in 48-degree water. No bluebacks, just fired up, ready to eat. And that kind of took me by surprise. I was like, wait a minute. That fish was chasing shad on top, 48-degree water. I don't think fish are so miserable. I don't think I have to dead stick a Damiki rig and jig a smoon and snag fish in the ass like Bassmaster told me to. I'm believing this less and less. Um, Tyler, I'm betting he got a tip, or maybe he put a tip in Larry's. Maybe he put a tip in Larry's ear and said, "Hey, dude, if you want to call it quit, you're getting pretty damn old, you old geezer. You ain't gonna win. You're done. You might as well save your back, save your shoulder, save your arm, save your elbow, save your Cincos. Take that shit to the house, dude. Let me get in there. Let me get in there. You done." He wasn't happy when he talked to Panger on BTL, but he was a guarantee for top 35 English average. I thought would be, yeah. I mean, that's a great finish for. You got to think the game has changed since Larry was at the top of it, and he's still competitive more than a lot of other people. So it says a lot about him. Um, but I've always liked Larry Nixon. Always looked up to the general. It's gonna suck. I'm gonna say it's gonna suck. It's not like it gives you that warm fuzzy feeling. It's like a security blanket where even if he's not on camera, you know he's there. It makes you feel good. So it's not like it's really gonna it's not gonna affect anybody because it's not like he was on camera a ton. Bass can still do the same interviews that they did with him now without him fishing. Um, but I'd like to know if he's gonna go like guide because that would be fun. I'd like to call up Larry Nixon and say, Larry, here's some dollars, here's some USD. Let me hop on your boat and you take me fishing. That'd be way cooler than him fishing the Elite Series. Bassmasters can add 2 legends per year and it doesn't affect the regular roster. Well, who's the other one going to be? Who's the other legend? Does Jay Lee pick up where he left off, or is he going to be surprised on how good the new Elites guys are? Nah. I mean, he's been dealing with everybody else. I don't think the game has changed too much on the Elite side. I think he'll be fine. He's good. Oh, Clun's still on it? Fritz is out of Legends points. Oh, so Clun took it over? They can, but don't have to. I mean, you bet your sweet ass if Van Dam said, I won't back in. They say, you know what? Guess what popped up? A new Legends exemption. Rick, you're done. You broke your leg. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Clun needs to retire. That's going to be a sad day when Clun retires. What would be worse? Clun retiring or dying on tour? I guess it'd be kind of cool. It'd be pretty badass to go out like fishing. Yeah, I'm with you, Clay. I'd like to see him retire than get escorted out. Um, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe you go out there and get on a good bite and have a heart attack and die on your boat. That'd be a pretty awesome way to go out. You know what I mean? You're like practicing for a tourney. You look over and you see like the biggest school of bass schooling on shad in 48-degree water, and you're like, and you're done. How'd he go out? Dude, he's fishing. He just ticker stopped. Viking style on fire. That's right. Yeah, just go down. He has rattled off some recentish wins. Yeah, he's still eerily competitive. A classic win would send him to the Shadow Realm. $1,000 a trip and Ganning would pay more than he is winning now for sure. But how busy? Hits a 6-pounder on an old Bagley, his heart gives out. Catches an 8 on the Trickster, falls over stone dead. That's what I'm saying. I might have to roll the dice and just wait for the old ticker to go out. Goes down to Florida, has a 10 swallow and devil's horse. Dunzo. I think that's a better way to go out though. Gator, everybody else, if Larry says I'm retiring, I'm just going to fish around the house and I'm going to do guide trips. How many guide trips did dude get? Do you think his phone is going to like blow up from guide trips? I feel like it'd be a few. Hold on, let me get this trait Zaldane. It's really sad that it has to be trait. That she is the only one willing to put forth info. Trait alleges that MLF had to dip into Tackle Warehouse invites to fill the roster this year. Not sure if it's true because she loves to stir the pot when it's the demise of MLF. I'm sure there's some truth to it. Brennan, if I die fishing a 1-, I will haunt the lake I'm on And any angler who comes through there will pitch to my log and get a little nibble and pull back, nothing there. Pitch back in, I'll give them another little nibble, maybe give them a little bite, a ghost bite on their worm. Then they'll pitch back in there. I'll take their worm. Then they'll rig up a fresh one, and I'll take it, and then I'll break their line. And if you throw a spinnerbait, I'll just bite the blades. Did Micah Frazier quit the Bass Tour to spend more time with his family? I think his son was closing in on school age. I don't know. He was probably. I don't know about y'all, but let's be honest here. You see a lot of these guys through social media, middle of the pack kind of Bassmaster guys, and they're like, "Hey, we're just hanging around the house." And in the background is their fucking house. And you're looking at it and you're like, it's like a $500,000 house. Like, bro's kitchen is the size of my living room. And you're kind of sucky at fishing. Like, you're good, but like as far as the professionally go, you're not like lighting it up. And then you see another guy and he's like doing like an interview at his house, and you're looking at his house, and you're like, damn, dude, this guy's in a damn pad. Wait a minute. You probably made negative dollars actually fishing. Like, are you making like a couple $100,000 in sponsor deals for being medium? I don't think so. Maybe. What piece of this puzzle am I missing here? Because something doesn't add up. Like, I'm no I'm no damn detective, but I'm no dumbass either. Like, if you're 80th in the points and everybody is talking about how much of a struggle it is to make a dollar, and you're in like $250,000, $500,000 house with like a 3-car garage. What? Never seen Brad Knight's house. I think Micah, he seemed like the type, I think he had a way of making money though, outside of it though. Gator, no shit, dude. Like, listen, guys, we're gonna work out a deal. I want to leave. I don't need the 80 million. 80 million would be nice. Just cut me a check for 50 million. I'll be gone tomorrow. See you later. Coach O was the one that got it right. When they're talking about firing him, he's like, shit, you just tell me where the door's at. Bobby Balsa here? There he is. What's up, dude? Hold on, I gotta get my stick. But give me my 17 million. That's what I'm saying. Get me out of here. I mean, it's a pretty lucrative career. But I mean, do these schools have so much money that they can afford to do that? That's the scary part. That is the scary part. Is that they have so much money they can buy out a shitty football coach's contract. Yeah, Jimbo, man. Boyd Duckett legend exemption. Jordan, sorry, sir, you won't be fishing. I am. What? You don't know how you become the most hated man in bass fishing? Boyd Duckett take your legend exemption and then sue Bass when they wouldn't let him in. I guess if you think if you've got 77 donors that are willing to donate $1 million, easy enough. And I'm sure over the years of Texas A&M, there is hundreds of alum that have made hundreds of millions of dollars. So I guess it's not that hard. Boyd's exempt from being exempt. Oh, Boyd. Fritz. So hella didn't Fritz lose his legend exemption? We need where's Tim? Where's Tim Maynard? He can tell us all things Fritz. In the fishing industry, has there been more of a villain than Boyd? I don't think publicly. I'm trying to think who. Yeah, for a while, David Dudley. Dudley was definitely hated. Ike. I think Ike's hated more than Boyd. I would say Ike. Either Ike or David Dudley. Early Ike, yeah, he's got to be up there. Who else? Tony Christian? But everybody didn't know him. Definitely Ike. Definitely Ike. And I don't like. I love Ike. I don't like. I don't like Ike screaming. That's the only thing I don't like. And I don't mind if he screams, but I wish when Bass edited the video, they would turn him down a little bit. But he like spikes your eardrums because you go from watching like a 80 decibel show to being like to having your ear in the monitor of a Slipknot concert and like your face melted off. Dudley was one of those at Cayuga last year catching the same fish. Yeah, Dudley doesn't care. He said, I've done this before. He doesn't care. Seems like his Dudley's compass is a little off. They could catch him back in the day. I don't know what happened. He probably started getting those fake temporary sleeve tattoos. That brought him back. Is that why the BPT going to all fish counts because they can catch the same fish 4 times? Maybe. Nobody had a problem with Randy until he made a YouTube channel. I I think Randy was always a whiner. Like, uh, I don't think Randy was a fan favorite at all. Um, I always considered Randy a whiner because he wasn't a closer. And if you watch any tournament, and he won here, like his one big win was on the Mobile Delta. And but if you watch any of his other finishes, it's always an excuse as to why he lost. It's like, no, you didn't look like you just didn't win. That's like he was always the victim and not taking responsibility that he could win. You can win just as easy as you can lose. So, oh, oh, I broke this fish off. I did this. It's like, well, fix it. You know what I mean? Flip braid. Uh, Look, guys, I'm telling you. But I remember, like, we used to always make fun of him, like me and Jody, because we'd sit around and watch all these tournaments together. And there's one, I think it's at Gunnersville, and Randy's fishing like off the bank, and he's fishing like this grass bed. It's like, or I don't know if he's fishing a hard spot, but he's fishing somewhere off the bank, and everybody else is like whacking them on like big spinner baits, big crankbaits, like fishing. Block gets out there on Gunnersville with a drop shot or something on a spinning rod, and dudes are like driving through like the grass bed he's fishing. Like, nobody gives a shit like about this guy or where he's fishing. They're like, dude, screw this guy. I'm just gonna run through here. And it happened like a couple times where, like, in the shot of him fishing, somebody's like, and just runs right, like, cuts him off. And but he's sitting there and he's like, oh, gee willikers, they're running through my grass bed. Ooh, ooh, I'm never gonna win now. There's another tournament at Eufaula, and he's fishing bushes, and like he's flipping a tube, and he like misses the first like handful of fish, and then he hangs one up in a tree, and and the whole morning, like when he's starting fishing, is all it is like him just being like, oh, gee whiz, I missed another one. Oh, golly gee, can't believe another one came off. I don't know what's going on. So, dude, take that stupid tube off and put something else on that you can hook a fish better with. George would have won his third classic if Randy Blockett hadn't stole his spot. Basically admits it. George was just too professional to say it publicly. Which tournament was that? Bob? Bobby? I'll go back and watch it. I don't have that. I don't have that. I've never heard that piece of nugget of info. Rich, you're probably right. This is the new this is the new bill from Burns. I can't show it off yet, so I have to cover it in tape. Prototype. 98 classic. Is that the classic Brandy says George stole a spot? Is that the one that Randy? Is that the Randy third place? Is that the one Brower won? That's one of my favorite classics ever. I just happened to pick the spot that George was crushing him on the first day. Imagine that. They weren't going to do anything against Brower anyway. King Brower? Nah. They were fishing for second and third anyway. Wouldn't have made a difference. Wouldn't have made a hill of beans. Where does he mention that? Did he do a video about it? Randy went up the river and planted brush, and George was sitting on his planted brush. How about that? But that's the most Randy thing you could ever say. You know what I mean? I spent all winter going up there and planting this brush. And then here comes the tournament day, and somebody's sitting on my brush. How's that shit happen? Like, I think it's like, I think his personality and his vibe like invites that. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I think what he puts out into the world, like, he receives that. Randy got out first the second day, and George pulled up, and Randy was fishing there. And the classic rewinds. Okay, so I typically don't watch those, but for that one, I'll make an exception. Classic rewind, 98 classic. I was never a huge George Cochran fan because he always seemed to kind of be a little deceptive with his baits. Like, he went on a Bossa B3 in like the mid 90s. Um, and it was like he would not say Bagley, obviously, because he was sponsored by Striking, but it was like Ray had to like pull teeth to get him to say Balsa 3. He wouldn't even say B. He just said it was old Balsa 3. And I guess back then it was a different time. Like, he would probably have got skin alive for saying what it actually was. The industry wasn't as transparent as it is now. I feel like you can get away with saying, all right, I got an old ass Bagley I called him on. Sorry, Strike King, but you don't make old ass Bagleys, so this is what I had to use. I feel like you can get away with that now. 96, probably not. 96, you're getting your plums chopped. No guard, Scott Martin, Plum Polisher 3000. George was also known to be a prick. Yeah, and he had cankles. Another thing he didn't have going for him. I didn't like watching. I wasn't a George Cochran fan. I liked Nixon. Was planting brush and whatnot frowned upon back then? I think it happened a lot. Oh yeah, he was throwing an IU pointer, and then he didn't want to talk about the pointer. Yeah, that was another one. That was a hell of a 4 days of fishing though. I don't think it was. I think it was frowned upon by the guys that didn't do it. Um, I don't. I think it was just. I think if you. I think it was frowned upon if you had other people doing your dirty work, which would hold true now. Like if you want to get out there and plant trees, go for it. But when you've got like somebody out there doing it for you, eh, that's a little weak. Um, the howler. Who owns a howler? No judgment. I actually have a buddy that kind of likes it. I gave him shit. He brought some over here. Uh, he brought some over here. And he's like, "Can you repaint some baits for me?" I was like, "Sure, bring them over." He brought them to me. Is that a Livingston howler? I said, "Yeah." I said, "You actually fish that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Does it croak?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "It runs good though. I don't care if it croaks." I bet that stung, Dustin. I bet that hurt you. Definitely still got guys that are doing it, maybe not planting whole piles. They're definitely cutting branches to hang in the water to flipping stuff. Yeah, that was a big stink around here about that. Because it's always been popular. Because if you get beat by it, you're not going to get beat by it twice. And that is chopping down willow trees before a shad spawn. We've all done it. Everybody's done it. All it takes is some dude dropping a damn 24-pound bag on you in 2004, and you say, "Damn, he smoked them." And then you go fishing the next day, and you start looking around. You see all these saw marks and all these willow trees, and it's like, hmm, interesting. Shad bubbling up in them. Interesting. But I don't think you can do that anymore. I mean, you can in certain tournaments, but I think a lot of the trails around here have outlawed any snipping. Edwin doing a video on building and planting brush piles. Edwin seems like the type that would be pro brush pile. I could see that. I could see him being a planter. Did they hold fish better with lights and ornaments on them? Now you could take your live scope and you could catch them off the star, catch them off the big plastic base. Schoolmaster, we will certainly have weather to be fishing. Star was the real attraction. Did it have to be gold? Flocked or not flocked tree, Bobby? That's the question. Did the flocked bring them in? Would you take the flock and then spray bang attractant on it so it would stick to the flocking? Corn feeders? I don't know. No spotlighting bass. I knew a dude that spotlighted bass. Tournaments, and he would go and mark the fish during the day and catch them at night with a cubing. Is brush pile code for corn feeder? I do love some good scent. Hadn't heard made much out of the bait. The bait fuel push seems like it's slowed down. We're not getting hit as hard. I feel like with the bait fuel these days. Maybe they sold all they needed to sell. I do agree with Randy about being able to get out and drag your boat. I don't mind that. I think if you want to drag your boat, go for it. I mean, honestly, we're talking about 20-foot boats with 250s on them. It's not like you're dragging it like half a mile up a creek. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to push over a sandbar, go for it. There's only so far you can push a 20-foot bass boat. Someone had bait fuel 75% off. John, was that what they were using? Would make sense, honestly. Timing would have been appropriate. That's a pretty hard sell. Let me sell you this scent that doesn't scent. Keith's boat is the exception, though. Keith's boat is the exception. And he's got a damn winch. Dustin, did you partake in bait fuel at a 75% discount? Was that a discount enough for you to say, let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this stuff. I like to oil up with smelly jelly. My buddies all used to have Bang. My buddy pre-soaked tubes and couldn't keep them on the hook. I actually made the mistake of doing that, Dustin. I took some shit my dad had that he had for like catfishing with some sort of oil, like anise. And he was making some sort of catfish concoction. And I was like, what is this shit? And he's like, it's like fish oil. It's like, oh, can I put it on baits? And he's like, yeah, that's what they use it for. And I was like, okay. So I like squirted some in a bag. And I couldn't grab the damn things. Like, I chunked them because like they were worthless. Those slimy little bastards, I would try to like Texas rig, and I was like, nah, dude. It was more of a pain than it was worse. Then I could have caught fish on an unscented worm faster than I could have put a bait on a hook. I needed my Manson gloves on to be able to try and hold the damn thing. So maybe that was what I think that was the nail in my coffin. Turns out Anthony, it wasn't anise oil. It was KY warming jelly. Go figure. The bulk packs of dingers are extra slimy. Well, if you like your dinger slimy, buy in bulk. Gotta go silicone. Gotta go silicone. Mega Strike was the only stuff I had confidence in, and I tried them all. Man, I feel like everybody had their one. You know what I mean? But there was never like a definitive like this is the one. Because any guys that get sprayed WD-40 on shit. I mean, I think everything you can under the sun has been sprayed on a bass bait and proven to somebody to have worked. What is my favorite? I'm trying to think if I ever actually owned a flavor scent. The only one I feel like I ever had was I feel like somebody left a crawfish bang in my boat. And I remember tasting it, and it kind of tasted like a like a like a like a just like kind of Cajun-y. I was like, this one tastes kind of good, uh, but I never kept any on hand, as you know. I think that's the only one I had. Original fish formula with gold glitter. Gulp. I have experience with gulp, but not for bass. Um, for saltwater fish, white trout, speckled trout, redfish, inshore fish like that. Definitely works for those guys. Um, and those fish bite things, any of that like scented stuff. Travis, what I really like is scented red hooks. That's my dirty little secret. So what I do is I take my bulk 1,000 count red hook bag and I put silicone based garlic, crawfish, and shad, and maybe a little shrimp ramen, and I pour it and I soak the hooks in that, and then when I'm ready to fish, I take them out and I put them on the hook. But then I take a little bitty round sponge that I make myself, and I take a hole punch and a kitchen sponge, and I hole punch all these little discs of sponge, and I put it on the hook, and then I fill the hook up with scent. So, you wanted the truth, Stearman? You got the truth. Coming 2024. TK scent discs. Tacklecraft scent discs for your hooks. Well, that's all part of it, Brendan. That's all part of the process. When there's enough salt and acid in the scent that it starts to break down the metal, and you start getting a little corrosive uh, action going on, and you start getting some rust, and they get right. They get right. I know, Nate. I know. No charge. No charge for the juice today. Knock on wood. I've never spilled. Did Morgan? Did you spill? JJ's explode. Did you see that Ketchco came out with a gingerbread colored bullshit? Don't follow them, or they have me blocked. One or the other. A lot of those dweeby ass new companies have me blocked. It's interesting, and I don't know why. It's interesting. Yeah, I like the markers myself, Clay. I've never the the lids are always too risky. They're too risky, and I'll tell you why. If you don't like heights, it's kind of the same experience. So when you get up real high, you're not necessarily scared of being up there. Like my experience, like it's not totally terrifying to be up high. It is, but the feeling I get is that my body is going to have like this uncontrollable spasm, and I'm just going to like vibrate off the edge and fall to my death. So, and I don't know what that's about, but if you get me up somewhere high, I just feel like I'm going to go and just like convulse off the side. Similar with a jar of Spike It. Like I open it, and for some reason I'm not scared of spilling it. I'm scared of having this like convulsion and just be like, ooh, and just like throwing it all over my boat. And it's the weirdest. I don't know why. So I went to the markers a long time ago. I think I owned one bottle of Spike It in the jar. It was too sketch. Uh-uh. Too sketch for me. Started putting cotton balls in little metal lip balm containers. What does that do, AJ? Do tell. Working on launching a follow-up to Texas A&M conversation at halftime during the last game. $160 million donation presented was made to the athletic department on the field. $160 million, man. The oil runs deep. Hey, yes, where are you going? Get your hair did? Dude, you can't get it cut any shorter. You're gonna look like I don't know what.
I'm gonna get it straightened out. I haven't had it straightened up since I got it.
Have fun.
You'll think it is.
We'll see.
Huh?
We'll see. Amy's going to get a haircut. I know Burns is going to get mouthy. Amy's getting a bowl cut. That's what she's up to. That's where she's at next.
He's gonna stop sending us bait to the.
I know. Burns is gonna start golfing again. Amy keeps dicking around with her hair. What have you buy?
Bye, campers.
Bob has a message. Pour the Spike It on the cotton ball. No spill, quicker than markers. That's interesting. Gold, silver, bronze. That's the Olympic trio over there. All right, dudes. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see if I can get. I have to change my shirt. I have to take my fancy dress shirt off, so I don't get paint on it. But I'm gonna go paint something. Actually, I'm probably gonna go eat lunch somewhere. Y'all be good. Good talking to everybody. Have a good rest of your evening. Uh, I will talk later. I'm gonna talk to Pryor tonight, see if he's gonna have internet service tomorrow, and we'll maybe do a little chitty chat. So anyway, good talking to everybody. Talk to you later. See you.